I'm going to be honest, I hated, and I mean hated, catching reflection of myself when I was going around the stores. The mirrors in there that you see in the stores, it wasn't like I hadn't been trying. It wasn't like I wasn't trying to eat the right things or do the right things. And despite raising 7 amazing babies and juggling a demanding career, I was running on fumes, barely able to keep up. I was working out, I was following all the conventional advice, and yet my tummy in particular just kept expanding. And the harder I pushed, the more drained I felt. And the scale, it became my enemy, a constant reminder of my failure. I tried this, I tried that. And I was like, this is never going to happen for me. I work full time. I've had 7 kids. Who am I kidding? So I really made my peace with all of this. I thought this is just how we're going to be in like our 40s, 50s and upwards. I'm just going to make peace with it until I came across some science on how to eviscerate belly fat, and especially to do with hormones and blood sugar level. And my God, it worked. It eviscerated my belly fat, and I have never been fitter. The science taught me an important lesson, that it wasn't about doing more. It was about doing things differently, especially with our 40-year-old bodies and up, because of our body's hormonal shift in perimenopause and beyond. This video then is a video I wish I had been made for me back then. And I'll tell you, it's continued to work for me. I'm now 54. And what's really crazy is that my friends that had always had a healthy diet and exercise regime locked in, as I had struggled through my 20s and 30s, they were now coming to me complaining that they were feeling softer. They were saying they're feeling like they had to do more to maintain, and that literally their bodies were not cooperating anymore. So even they've converted to this method that I'm sharing with you today with great success. So they're covered, you're covered. And if you've never exercised before, I've got you too, because this video covers everything that you need to do and what you mustn't do. And before I dive in, if you are a busy, driven woman 40 plus, like me, who's tired of fighting your body and wants a science-backed, realistic plan to lose body fat and finally feel energized and in control of your hormones, please do hit the subscriber button now to get the content that actually talks to you, gives you real solutions, all right? And darlings, if you are in pain right now and feel that you feel frustrated and need solutions that actually work, I also encourage you to watch my free Midlife Vitality Blueprint workshop. This is a no fluffer, no filler training with a precise plan to follow without crash diets or confusion or extreme cardio of any of that. It's simply just proven methods that work long term. Okay, so let's get to it. So here's what most advice fitness people in the industry, they get wrong for women like us. They assume our hormones are static, that our energy and metabolism function just like they did in our 20s and early 30s. But as you move through your late 30s and 40s and 50s, your hormones shift and they shift your metabolism, meaning that if you don't shift with it, your body changes too with outcomes that you don't like. And it's not because you're lazy or ill-disciplined. It's essentially because your estrogen levels have dropped, your cortisol rises more easily, and your ability to recover in all areas of your life decreases. In other words, if we keep eating and moving like we did in our 20s and 30s, the scale will go up, period. Just like my slim girlfriends, right? And this is pretty crappy. But here's the great news about your hormone shift in this era. To get the results, less is actually more, meaning you actually have to do less to achieve that permanent and sustainable weight loss that you're looking for to get strong, vital, and in killer shape. You simply need to adjust and recalibrate. All right. So let's look at your step-by-step workout structure. I'm going to break it all down here for you. Because our beautiful hormonal bodies, they just need a little bit of help and you just need a plan. So let's start with step 1. Okay. So step one is we're talking about HIT that is structured for 40-year-old plus women. All right. So 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, all the way. The first step is you need to start incorporating HIT. That's high intensity interval training into your weekly schedule. Now, I want you to hear me out on this one, because the talk around HIT brings out strong reactions, as it did in me when I first came across this science. All right. Either you love it or you hate it. There's so much conflicting advice about it, especially for those of us over 40, or like me in my 50s. And this is because there are some very, very strong do's and don'ts on it, okay, to get it right. So let's break that down. First of all, what is HIT? Well, HIT is the concept where you push yourself to the max for a number of seconds, right? And then you take a rest for, say, 50 to 90 seconds. And you do this on repeat for 15 to 20 minutes. It's designed to get your heart rate to go up and then to drop it down, continue up, down, continually. The proven science behind this, and I'll drop the science studies below as well for geeks like me who love that, is it triggers your fat burning metabolic rate, and it keeps it triggered beyond your workout. And this is because the study showed that HIT spiked the participants' metabolic rate not only during the session, but it actually stayed high for 24 hours. Man, I love that. As opposed to people who were put on a treadmill to walk or run at the same pace for an hour. The problem is the study showed as soon as they got off the treadmill, their metabolic rate dropped straight back down to its normal pre-workout state. In other words, it didn't keep them in that high metabolic burn that, of course, we were looking for. All right. So the second benefit to HIT is that your production of human growth hormone increases by as much as 530% during your HIT workout. So the higher your levels of human growth hormone, the healthier, the stronger, and the more youthful you will be. Plus the added benefit that it's super great for busy people like us who live in the real world, like me, juggling work, family, and so many responsibilities. It's a time efficient way to drop the weight, because you obviously have to do less to get more benefit. 15, 20 minutes as opposed to, an hour. But, and here's the but, if you're someone from my generation, and I alluded to this just a moment ago, but if you're someone from my generation who was working out, well, also the 2000s, you might remember the crazy HIT era where everything was go hard, go home, it was the Beachbody workouts with Sean T, and he's shouting at you and he's saying, like, work harder, work harder. Well, I have to confess, I did those workouts for 5 to 6 times a week. Heck, there's even, I'll have to drop it somewhere. I think I'll get some pictures, but I actually did all of that, even through my pregnancies and even when I was about to give birth. So transparency, doing it so much, it caused me a lot of injuries and weirdly halted my weight loss, which sounds counterintuitive, but now it makes sense to you because of the research I've told you where it's talking about the cortisol spikes. So I obviously didn't realize this at the time, but it was causing burnout and it was triggering elevated cortisol levels in my body. So let me just give you a frame of that. Essentially, what fat is in your body is excess. Fat equals excess. So it's a mix of toxins, glucose, insulin, and hormones, especially ladies, cortisol. That's a stress hormone. So when our bodies are really, really stressed and they can't get rid of enough, they can't get it out of our bodies fast enough, they go and they dump it in storage areas all over our body. And this is why as perimenopausal and menopausal ladies, we need to guard our energy, our thyroid, our adrenaline, and our hormones, because every activity we should do should be in support of those hormones, because of the way our bodies now react to stress in this era of our life, right? And so where does that leave us? Well, the fact is that HIT benefits us all if customized and applied in the correct way for the individual. All right. So we want that hit because of its hormetic effect, a biological term meaning that a low to moderate dose of a stressor initially produces that beneficial adaptive effect. So in this case, a micro dose of hit is going to do us so much good in the long term, as long as we listen to our bodies and follow some guidelines. All right. So let's go over the guidelines so that you don't hurt yourself. Right. Which also brings me to one of the most common misunderstandings of HIIT is, and it actually stops people from doing it, is you tend to think of it as body weight exercises like push-ups, burpees, mountain climbers, high knees, jumping jacks, and so on. And for those people who haven't been active for a long time or are overweight, and, you know, for people like some of my clients who come to me with joint pain or full-on arthritis, they're just coming out of this, right? They're coming out of my healing module of the program. And so they're not inclined to want to jump and bounce around. It doesn't feel doable to them. And it puts them at greater risk of strain and injury. So the solution to that, which is so effective, in fact, more effective, is you can use things like a rowing machine, a Peloton bike, anything you can sprint on that doesn't jar your knees, water running, elliptical, upper body boxing moves, incline or hill workout. And you can also use weight-bearing exercises with like kettlebell or dumbbells, utilizing swings, clean and presses, and squat thrusters, which I'm actually going to loop back to in a moment in the next step. The point I'm making here is you can absolutely use lower impact activities to achieve your HIIT goals and reap the belly fat burning rewards, okay? The problem with HIIT is that it's not often begun or continued mindfully by most of us, but especially by trainers who aren't looped into what we ladies in midlife and beyond actually chemically need for our bodies. So let's go through the best protocols for HIIT that's science-backed, especially for us with our bodies, all right? So number one, do 45 seconds of an activity to spike your heart rate, 45 seconds. Number two, then pause for 15 seconds and then spike your heart rate again by going back another round to that 45 seconds and repeat. Now, next, do this for 15 to 20 minutes per session. That's all you need. Here's really important, okay? Only, and I mean only, do this 1 to 3 times a week. Do not do more than 45 minutes, 45 minutes within those 7 days, 45 minutes, that's key. Also, do not do strength training on the same day as you do your HIIT. And remember, keep in mind, if you are new to HIIT, always, or if you're overweight, be careful, prioritize proper form, gradually increase the intensity, always warm up and cool down thoroughly, and listen to your body. I go into that more in the steps below, so I've got you covered. Remember as well, intensity is relative to you. Just because someone is going like the clappers doesn't mean you have to when you first start out, all right? This is not a race, all right? People give up and hurt themselves because they go all out at the beginning. Moderate, moderate, moderate. The key is just keep going, all right? It's consistency. Okay, enough with the HIIT already. So the next step is combating your belly fat is you're going to introduce weightlifting into your weekly routine. And before you put a hurdle in the way and tell me, Louise, you can't do that, and give me 100 reasons why you can't do that, just hear me out. So with this step, what we want to do is we want to understand that weight training is super, super good for us. And it's a critical protocol. You have to do this. You have to get it in. If you want to have great perimenopause, great menopause and beyond, you are going to have to key it in and make it a lifestyle habit, all right? To eviscerate that belly fat and to keep it away, all right? And here's the science behind it. When you have more muscle on your body, you have more insulin receptor sites. So you become more insulin sensitive. This means that you're better at mopping up the extra glucose more effectively and preventing any excess flooding your bloodstream and being stored as fat. So that goes back to what I was telling you about. What is fat? Fat is an excess of something. And in this case, glucose, stress, whatever, right? So when you start training, when you start the weight training, it releases anti-inflammatory molecules into your body. All right. And I mean, you've got to love that, right? Because you do that. You've got these things that are just killing your fat just by your weight training. And again, it produces human growth hormone, which, as I've just said, is brilliant, all right, because it gives you a higher resting metabolic rate after doing it, meaning that you're burning even more calories while you're going about your daily life, or even when you're sitting on the couch watching the telly, and even when you're sleeping. So for me, that's a win-win, and it's got to be a win-win for you. So let's look at some quick best protocols for weightlifting, science-backed, so you don't get injured, and what specifically works for you. Number one, strength training should be carried out preferably 2 to 3 times a week. 3 is beautiful. You can do more than that, but as long as you're tuned in to your body and you can gear it back when you feel you're overdoing it, and considering the step below where I talk about is the context of which you do things because you do not want to be injured. You need to take care of yourself around the exercise, ladies. Okay. That's where we fail. All right. Also, we have cardio strength training. So just to go back, number one, you're going to do it two to 3 times a week. Number two, the sessions will be 20 to 30 minutes long for effectiveness. You do not need to go over that. All right. The data shows this. And also you have cardio strength training, which is an alternative way of doing it. It's a mix where you do strength training combined with some cardio. And this is not, I'm not talking about, exercise like cycling or running. What I'm talking specifically about is dumbbells, or preferably a kettlebell, which moves you through the exercises. So the push press or whatnot, but it's done with time breaks. Okay. So you're building both strength and you're increasing your heart rate. In short, ladies, if you use a challenging weight and you put together a selection of kettlebell exercises or a dumbbell into a circuit, this will raise your heart rate, keep it elevated for a longer period of time. And kettlebells especially, they use all the muscles of the body, all right, during the movement. They strengthen your core, your forearms, your legs, and virtually every muscle of your body. The more muscles you use for movement, the more oxygen you require to fuel the movement, which is fantastic. So kettlebell works as a magic for your core as well. And in fact, I have never done a sit-up in my life. I got my stomach back after 7 babies by doing kettlebells and kettlebells only. All right. So really, they're amazing. They balance your hormones. If you want me to do some kettlebell exercise sessions for you, holler, let me know down below, and I'll do them for you. And listen, as I said, don't be scared of the idea of kettlebells or this type of circuit training. I've raised my 7 children to do them as well. So if they can do it, I promise you can too. All right. Does that feel doable? I think so. I hope so. Let me know in the comments, or let me know what is your workout that you like to go to now. And, let us know. As I said, community helps community. All right, ladies. Okay. On to the next step, because you've been very patient for me. This is a longer video because I told you it's a video I would have wanted if I'd been back in the day. So the next step is a secret weapon that no one really talks about. It's workout type number 3, which is NEAT, N-E-A-T, and low impact movement. And this is going to shock you because, as I said, people don't really focus on about it. They tend to focus on the big macho exercise movements, but this is the most underrated fat burning tool for women, especially for women 40 over. And as I said, it's low impact movement and NEAT. And NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. I think I said that right. Basically, all the movement you do outside your workouts. So like walking, taking the stairs, vacuuming, doing the dishes, playing fetch with the dog, talking, standing, literally tapping your foot, cooking, yard work, and so on. I'm going to drop you a mind-blowing fact in here. In fact, I'm going to do a diagram up here. I'm hoping to put that in for you to show you this, how crazy this is. Research shows that this type of humdrum daily activity accounts for 15% of your total daily energy expenditure, while comparatively the vigorous formal exercise that we think is amazing for us, which it is in its own pocket, only typically accounts to 3 to 5%. Crazy. So let's say you work out for 1 hour, which I'm not advising, but I'm just showing you as a comparison, and you sleep for 8 hours. That's still 15 hours of your day in which you might be completely sedentary. And this, ladies, is what's going to kill your progress. All right. So, of course, little movements and steps should be second nature, but not in today's world. So you do need to be intentional and structure in ways to increase your general activity levels throughout your entire day. In fact, studies have shown that you're more likely to have long-term success and sustained weight loss if you do this, as opposed to the folks who only really drill down and focused on, like the regular activity. And that's not just, it's not just because it's easy to like getting meat into your daily life. Obviously it is easier. But there's something about it they found that the more you do of little everyday activities, actually it makes you stronger without you realizing it. So you tend to do more without really thinking about it. So it builds up and increases over time. And as we know, momentum builds momentum. So yeah, it's beautiful. So let's get it done. So there are many ways to get your steps in without you realizing that you're doing it, because we don't want it to be stressful. We just want it to become like a natural part of our existence. Okay. So for example, pacing. I take almost all of my phone calls when I'm walking or pacing, and I'm in a small office. I don't know if you can see that right now, but I'm in a small office, but I would just pace. And, I can get 1K steps done in about a 10 to 15-minute phone call. Yeah, because I'm just going back and forth. So if you work in an office setting that allows you to do this, then go for it. Just do some pacing. Do things like do walking dates with your colleagues, or your loved ones or your friends, and then maybe meet after the walk at the cafe or whatnot. Another one, very simple. Okay. Park far away and be that person that purposely parks to the edge of the parking lot, for example. It's crazy, but you can add 1,500 steps to your day just by doing that. Same thing, cleaning adds so many steps. Airport pacing, just pace. You do not need to keep sitting down. And then another rule that I have is a 30 or 60-minute rule. I get my children to, they call it the lookout time zone, because they have to stand up there and pace and look out as well to adjust their eyes. And what you do is you just stand and you just make sure that you pace a bit every 30 to 60 minutes. Even if you just do a minute, I promise you it will make so much difference. Or just get up and do a simple trip to the bathroom or do a quick lap to get a water or coffee. But no going for the croissants or the donuts. Yes, at the office. Okay, so seriously, these gentle, consistent movements, they don't tax your system, and they can just really add up to those 7,000 to 10,000 steps that will really, really help you eviscerate your belly fat better than just pounding away on a treadmill. All right. So also pair your NEAT with something that nourishes you emotionally, like a podcast or an audio book, or a phone call with your friend. And so it becomes something that you look forward to. Because again, as midlife ladies, we are trying to bring our cortisol down. We're trying to relax. We're just trying to stay in our chill zone, right? And when we want to go for it and inspire the cortisol, we can do that in our own specific points. All right. Okay. So on to the next step. And that is rest, repair, and rehabilitation. Now, this next exercise step, I do not trust you with. So I'm putting up a big warning sign here. Not only because I have been totally guilty of it myself and suffered consequences, but also because I have been doing this for a really, really long time, and where it's not about I would say about 99% of us inadvertently sabotage ourselves. And that because we don't commit to the rest, repair, and rehabilitation part of our daily life and our exercise and whatnot, right? This is backed by science. You can't undo your biology, because as we go through menopause, the job of making female hormones, and I'm not sure how many people actually know this, but the job of the female hormone switches from our ovaries to our adrenals. These are the glands that are just above the kidneys. And so now, not only are they in charge of the adrenals, only in charge of cortisol and adrenaline, which are the stress hormones in the body, they've now got another pull on their energy by having to produce a whole new set of hormones on top. And so it makes sense then that if you're under a lot of chronic stress, your adrenals are obviously, they're put under strain to work harder to release all that stress hormone. And as a result, then they're obviously going to be less present and less available to essentially produce the female hormones effectively. What does that mean, ladies? It means it results in us having more perimenopause and menopausal horrible symptoms, right? Which again, I loop back to what is fat. Fat is excess. So as you keep bumping out all this stress combined with an imbalance with your hormones, your body doesn't know what to do with the excess, so it dumps it not just around your body, but particularly on your belly, because remember I told you, you've got 4 times the cortisol to know what to do with the excess, so it dumps it not just around your body, but particularly on your belly, because remember I told you, you've got 4 times the cortisol to know what to do with stress receptors there, all right? And B, it also then actively undermines any weight loss or weight maintenance work that you're doing, especially if you're trying to target belly fat. And on that note, I just really quickly want to say this because this is like a nugget of great information and motivation for you. So, you hear all the time that you cannot spot reduce subcutaneous fat on your body. This is true up to a point. But here's the good news. You can spot reduce visceral fat from your belly. That's a fat around our abdominals and our visceral organs because, darlings, it's metabolically active. And unfortunately for us, as our hormones shift through perimenopause and menopause, as you know, it can trigger a rapid expansion of visceral fat deposits, meaning, and this is the important part, this is the point I want you to remember, it's not driven by our calorific intake, all right? It's driven by inflammation and hormonal changes. This is why my slim girlfriends that I spoke about earlier were hit with belly fat despite not doing anything different. It had nothing to do with calories in or calories out. And that should be a sigh of relief for all of us, because it's just about understanding that it's the lifestyle changes you have to make to really get free of that pesky belly fat. All right. And by the way, ladies, this is not just vanity. All right. Visceral fat in and of itself is linked to the top 7 out of 10 causes of death in women. So we have to get this done. Right. So the combination of anti-inflammatory approach nutrition, getting your adequate protein, getting the 25 grams of fiber per day, and then ensuring that you're having less than 25 grams of added sugar per day, which I talk about in all my other videos and drive you crazy with, along with what I've been speaking about here, which is the HIIT and the zone 2 training and the lifting the heavy weights and the stress management that I'm covering here. These are all your keys to the palace of torching your belly fat. All right. So I repeat, rest, repair, and rehabilitation. These are an essential component. And of course, as I explained today, A level of physical stress is actually good for our body, but we just don't want to overdo it. We want times when we get those little spikes of cortisol, but we also want them to naturally come down. So from the get-go, you've got to commit to de-stress habits and protocols to bring those cortisol levels down. But also because if you just do the HIIT or the weight training and you don't do the rest of things around these activities to repair from them, you will end up injured, unmotivated. You do not need to feel worn out, dripping in sweat and in pain to get breathtaking results. I promise you. That mindset is the old mindset. You have to honor where you are now and be careful not to immerse yourself into a pattern of chronically over stressful training patterns. All right. I know I've been there. I've seen my clients go through it. All right. So I want to bring you the recommendations right now. Let's start with my 2 non-negotiables. And I mean, seriously, I personally have tried to get out of doing them over years and always got my butt kicked with injuries and pains that then disrupted my sleep. And so you've got to get them done. Non-negotiable. Number 1, yin yoga. Totally transformed my life. Story for another time. But it's great because you can do it sitting down. You can do it in your PJs. I think I've even mentioned it in this video before. I only ever do yoga with Cassandra on YouTube. She doesn't know I'm alive. No affiliation. I'm just a fan girl. All right. Give me a drop in the comments if you need specific ones of hers that I love. I'll be happy to share with you. I love her. Yin puts me back together. It keeps me in alignment. Another thing for another video, which we ladies really suffer from at this time. It lubricates our joints. It keeps me flexible and is so good for my busy mind because Cassandra, especially with her videos, she also does affirmations and the chill music with it. It's so relaxing. It's so amazing. I love it. But here's what I want you to do. My recommendation is I want you to do yin. Yin has to be done on the day that you do your HIIT and your weight training. Okay. You must fit that in. All right. Fit it into your schedule. Anywhere else you can fit yin in, it's the sort of thing that you can fall in love and you can find yourself in. You can do that 7 days a week. It's amazing. Wherever you can fit it in, do it. All right. Holler that down to me and let me know whether you get it done. All right. The next non-negotiable is mobility training. Okay. And this is a key to me being able to stay fit and injury and pain-free whilst building my weight training in particular. You know, it's so recommended by fitness trainers these days, especially 40-year-old, 50, 60, whatever. And they're like, you've got to go heavy. Yes, they're right. But I'll tell you what they don't tell you. They don't tell you how to do it without being asking freaking agony and pain and being injured and then not being able to sleep for a week. All right. They don't tell you that. They've got the best intentions, but no one tells you how to recuperate from that. So mobility training in the yin, these things will really, really just help you get stronger, be able to push more weight. All right. Stay injury free. Again, no affiliation. She doesn't know I'm alive, but I use Julia Rappel. Again, I will drop a link or put a whatever so you know who she is. She's also on YouTube. Both of these ladies are for free on YouTube. They are amazing. And with her, I use her specific videos to warm up. I use them at my desk because she has short, 3-minute, 5-minute videos. So I can literally do it at my chair. And it just keeps us ticking over. And yeah, so my prescription is mobility training. You've got to get it in anywhere that you can in your day. And next, we need to really think about other things to heal. So we can we can experiment with breathing exercises. Yes, it can feel a bit weird when you first start doing it. I do a fellow, can't remember his name. I'll drop the links below. But the breathing exercise is amazing. I could geek out on that. That's a whole nother video that I could tell you about. But again, a few minutes here. Even if you've got a high impact job, you've got kids, whatever, you can get it done at your desk. All right. And it really does give amazing results for you as well. Meditation, you can try that. Again, I know there's some of you are like, oh, it's a bit hippie-ish, My husband always did meditation. I'm like, what? He's a big guy as well. Like, what? I'm like the match. Well, I'm not going to do meditation, but it has actually, I got into it when I had that complete overhaul of that terrible situation that happened to me, perimenopausal situation. And it has been really, really fantastic. So all of these things are amazing. All right. But as I've been sharing with you today, weight loss is more often about managing your stress and your emotions than anything else, because of the chemical reactions that the stress triggers in your body, which cause the weight gain. And this has been, backed by dozens and dozens of peer-reviewed studies, which again I'll share below. So I also recommend foam rollers with those news, like balls like this one. Can you see this? Balls that you put on your back, you rub and whatnot. All of these things to help get the tension out as you build your strength and to recover faster. Okay. So I'm going to do a whole video on that specifically, because we 40-year-old, 50, 60 sometimes, we need to know exactly how to repair. But as I said, it helps with the flexibility. The ball and the roller, they help improve even circulation with your cellulite. They just make you recover quicker. All right. So I highly recommend them. And then there are supplements that I really, really can't recommend enough to you. I've really gone on this video, so I will put it in another video, or holler down below and I'll tell you. But supplements that we just need. I know that there are fitness trainers out there. Oh, you can just get it from your food. Honestly, I've been through hell and back with this. All right. Not only with my clients, but me personally. This stuff works. All right. So I will give you a supplement list as well. All right. Which will help reduce and eliminate the soreness, and feed your muscles and tendons faster from the recovery, and give you that long-term strength and energy that we're all looking for, right? Because we are thriving, my ladies. We are thriving. So you've been so patient with me. As I said, I really wanted to cover everything. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't, because you'll also get notified when I do that video about what supplements to take to make you feel more comfortable. And the exciting part is that the exercise, activity, and stress management tools that I've given you here, if you do pair that up with the supportive nutrition, and with the correct amount of protein, the fiber, and reducing your sugar consumption that I've been covering all my videos, I am not killing you, ladies, right? You will be strong, vital, and in killer shape in the next chapter of your life. As I said, I'm 54, never felt better. I wish I had known this stuff before. I wish someone had told me. I've had to piece this together the painful way. As you know, I had a full breakdown, perimenopausal inflammation burnout thing. And I've had to learn the hard way. And that's not what I want for you. I do not want you to have to start from scratch. Okay. Trust these methods. Trust them. I promise you they will work for you. And if you need more help and support now, of course, please do get on a call with me to see what I can do for you. And then if you just want to get onto my my workshop, which is free, a free midlife vitality blueprint workshop, no fluff, no filler, that will give you the precise plan to follow. So you have that as well. Darlings, please don't suffer through this. Life is for living. I want you to be enjoying your life. I want it to be sustainable, vibrant, and fulfilling. All right. Just because we're midlife and beyond, it ain't over for us. All right. I'm excited for this next transition. I'm going through it right now, and I want you to as well. All right, darlings. So again, sending you much love. Comment your biggest struggle below or your breakthrough. Share this with a friend who needs to hear it. We need to come together as a group. All right, darlings. Follow the advice. Make sure you do the rest recuperation part. All right. I'll be checking on you, and I shall see you next time. Bye, darlings. Bye.